नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छम भूत्वा दीनगणेश करुणया कोपि
preserving Prabhupada's legacy in the form of his books, his instructions, and his management system that he introduced for all of us when he started the Krishna consciousness movement back in 1965. And Prabhupada was extremely expert in handling the expansion of this movement, being empowered by Lord Chaitanya. This is the position of the pure devotee, that he is the personification of the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So Acharya, that is a very important position. And Prabhupada, when we purchased the Toronto temple, and in all temples, he wanted to make sure that the sign out front was carefully designed with his name on it. Founder Acharya, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada. That was an instruction that he gave to all the temple presidents. He gave a lot of instructions, and he was very serious, just like Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was very serious about his disciples following strictly the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness according to their commitment to him. For example, Vijaya Pandit. And I'm going to recommend this to you. Please read The Pastime of Junior Haridas, Chotar Haridas. It's very important for us to understand how Lord Chaitanya dealt with him. All that the Chotar Haridas did was go and pick up some boga, some grains, food grains, for preparation for Lord Chaitanya's meal. But Lord Chaitanya knew, being the Supreme Lord, that this person had looked at women lustfully. And as a result, Dharma Bhavana, he banished him. He banished him. Now, when you read the pastime, Vijaya Pandit, you'll notice that many people went, they forgive him for this, and he refused. Even though he was the most munificent incarnation of the Lord, the most forgiving, the most merciful. Namo Mahabharanaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya, Namne Gurav Trishne Namaha. Even though Lord Chaitanya was the most munificent, he wanted to teach us a lesson that you be very careful when you take up the process of spiritual life, especially in the role of a renunciant. That one should not be a hypocrite and accept this renounced order of life and still carry material attachments. He insisted. Actually, spiritual life means renunciation. You move through the different stages. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Varnaprastha, Sannyas. That's the system. You move through it. Everyone should consider that as the various steps they're going to follow in their spiritual emancipation, not only for themselves, but for their entire family. Because if you can't save yourself, how can you save others? Prabhupada would tell us that. Your first business is for you to become Krishna conscious. Then others will benefit from that. So just before we get into our wonderful readings of the diaries, I had a chance the other night, Dharma Bhavana. It was just by chance that this movie came on television. It was Krishna, Guru, murder, etc. in the Hare Krishnas. It was like, whoa. Now, we had been getting this promotion previously that it was on Peacock. Now, I have to be honest with everybody. I didn't watch it. I just felt, I don't want to watch it. It's just not something I need to see. But I was in the ashram here, and one of the devotees or members here came to me. He goes, "Oh, Vishwakarma." Yeah, I go, "What?" He goes, "There's a program on lifestyles on TV, Hare Krishna and murder." I go, "Whoa." And my son happened to be here, and we turned it on. We watched it. It was long. It's so if all of you happen to see it, it's quite a in-depth look at the Krishna movement, especially in the early years. It was very moving, actually, very moving. And because there was lots of pictures of Prabhupada there and lots of memories for all of us. If I was frequently going to New Vrindavan back in the 70s. I started going in 72, so I went every year kind of thing. And then I got involved with this fanatic from there, Keith Ham. And he was up here running the zone, so-called, as a GBC. It was absolutely absurd experience. So some people could say, well, how can you feel that way? Well, we lived through it. They stole Prabhupada's murti out of the temple. They stole Prabhupada's shoes out of the temple. They went ahead and did a complete character assassination of myself for no reason outside of their ambition to shut everything down, just like the Bidwell Temple in Buffalo, where this Tom Drescher, this Tirthapad, the murderer of Sulochan, came from. I've got some interesting pictures I wanted to send you, Vijay Pandit, of Bidwell Parkway, which was really quite a nice place back then, and we used to go there all the time. Long story short, I'll go because we've got our reading. I watched the show. Dharma Bhavana, I tried to keep an open mind. I saw Bhagawan there. He's kind of fat now. And no dhoti, no kurta, no neck beads, no tilak, nothing. Same with Hridayananda. He's on the show. I mean, this is not criticizing them. I was just watching the show. He had a, Ralph Lauren shirt on. No danda, no tilak. I'm very familiar with this because Prabhupada put me through the same questioning when Ban Maharaj came to Toronto, and he asked me all the same questions. So I'm looking at these people and evaluating them just on their physiognomy, their face, their dress, their appearance, their words, how they spoke. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. Not only was it terrible, when they brought up the issue of guru, Bhagawan goes, "Oh yeah, well, all of a sudden I became a guru. Prabhupada appointed me as a guru." Oh, really? Well, there's a lie right there. And overall, the show was quite an expose. There was Malati there, and the only person that really handled himself really well was Paranjana, who wouldn't put his name up, and you couldn't see him in the picture. It was dark. That was appropriately done, and he spoke his regular information about the ISKCON movement. So quite interesting and very disappointing to see, everyone, this type of propaganda being sent out about the Krishna movement as a result of deviant people that are still involved in this mission. It is pathetic. And that's why some people criticize, well, how come you speak about this? Well, it's on TV right now. It's being seen by millions of people. Is it relevant? Well, maybe not to you, but I wonder why not. Tell me why it isn't relevant to you. Or maybe you've never done anything. Maybe that's why. You never did anything, so you got no reason to be concerned about what's going on. But for all of us that are part of this mission, who care about this mission, we do care about the reputation of our guru. And we are not going to stop. We're going to be relentless, and we're going to keep going in the reading of our, I'm going to calm down. I'm going to read from our diaries, from the Jaladuta diaries. Here they are. This is the beginning. And we're at January 23rd, 1966. So these are little inserts for the, for our, just to see how Prabhupada handled money and how he handled his time every day. New York, today, January 23rd, January, Sunday. Today, due to snowfall, the whole day, I did not go either to Dr. Misra's apartment nor outside the studio. I managed my things here in the studio. No expenditures today. That's what we do nowadays, eh? It's snowing every day, it's freezing, it's raining. You kind of stay home. January 24th, 1966, to see Mr. Larry Bogart morning a.m. Saw Mr. Larry Bogart in his office. He advised me to write to Mr. Felix Morrow for an appointment to see. So I'm writing him and sending him some literature of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I spent 30 cents bus fare. On Tuesday, January 25th, 1966, Prabhupada in New York received letter from Mrs. Sally Agarwal. Srila Prabhupada had been sponsored by Gopal Agarwal and had stayed with the family in Butler, Pennsylvania before coming to New York. 603 North Walnut Street, Dover, Ohio, intimating that she is taking my book to her new residence. It appears that she has not received my letter dated 18th of January 66. Decided to purchase one tape recorder, Martel, from the Advertisement Times of New York. No expenditure today. One set of books taken by Mrs. Molapsky. She promises to pay on Thursday, the 27th, 166. So he's giving credit here to people. He's trying to get, trusting them. Lectures delivered in the studio on the test of spiritual realization. It means no more any artificial demand for the body and mind. The people appreciated it. And once again today, no expenditure from Srila Prabhupada. So he's keeping track of his money. January 26th, 1966. Meeting at the church at 4 West 76th Street at 7 p.m. The following letters dispatched. One to Sally Agarwal, 603 North Walnut Street, Dover, Ohio. 2, and these are all in regards to books he's pointing out. Miss H. Sutley, Bureau of Libraries, 110th Livingston Street, Brooklyn, New York. So he's trying to penetrate into that network. 3, Dr. Seymour Fersh, Asian Society, 112 East 64th Street, New York City. Went to see the tape recorder, found no good. It was useless. Expenditures. Butter, 44 cents. Bus fare, 30 cents. 74 cents. And one set book sold to the Universalist Church of Divine Eternity, Central Park West at 76th Street, North, New York. Thursday, January 27th. Mr. Hill gave me the address of Sachin Mazumdar, inquired from Camera House about TR, Mr. Eric's friend, Mr. Dick. One set of books, $16 paid by Mrs. Molapsky. Today, Mr. Cohen met. He gave me his address, invited me to see his apartment in the downtown. No expenditures. And here's the footnote. Harvey Cohen was very interested in spiritual matters and recommended Srila Prabhupada as a teacher to his friends. He was later initiated as Haridas and was helpful in organizing Srila Prabhupada's visit to San Francisco in 1967. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll move forward and have the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, Kunja Bihari, and we'll look forward to the reading and discussion from the original unedited books of Srila Prabhupada by His Grace Yashodanandana Prabhu in snowed-in Twinehart, California. All glories to the Sankirtan mission.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspa Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Samadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giridhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तबिंद की जाए और ग्लोरी टू देयर और ग्लोरी टू देयर थैंक यू वेरी मच
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam, Narayanam namaskrityam, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Devim saraswatim vyasam, Tato jayam mudirayat, Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we often do before this reading, we read a few select verses from the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Today we'll be reading the section from Adi Lila, Chapter 1, text 18 through 22, which explains the meaning and the transcendental benefits of hearing this great literature. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda, Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text 19. 18 Thakur Gaudiyake Karye Chenoyatma Sat, 18 Era Charana Vandan Tire Morinat. These 3 deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text 20. Grantera Rambi Kari Mangala Charana, Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text 21. Gram tinera smaraneai vigna vinashana, anayaseai nijavanchita purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Semangala charanoi trivida prakar, vastu nirdesha shirvada namaskaram. The invocation involved 3 processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Before we begin the actual reading, we will read a few statements by Srila Prabhupada about the exalted literature, the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. This is a lecture on Adi Lila 1-6 in Mayapur on March 30th, 1975. March 30, 1975. Bhakti Parishanubhava Viraktir Anyatra Syat, Srimad Bhagavatam 11-242. If you are actually advancing in devotional service, then the symptom will be that you'll have no more material hankerings. That is real. So if you're actually here about Krishna's pastimes with Radharani, then Rigroga Kaman Apahinoti, then our heart disease, lusty desires will vanish. That is the result. I have repeatedly said, so if you become more lusty by seeing the pastimes of Krishna with Radharani or hearing, that means you are not fit. Stop it. Stop it. Don't be foolish. So in the spiritual platform, the everything are there, but they are different in quality. Just like iron is also metal and gold is also metal, but the quality is different. Similarly, don't take that Krishna's loving affairs with Radharani is exactly like our loving affair with our girlfriend. No, it is not like that. One is gold and one is iron. Don't minimize the value. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described that it is Alladini Shaktini. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikriti Alladini Shaktihi. So this Alladini Shakti is being described in Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Therefore, Caitanya-caritāmṛta is the postgraduate study of highly elevated devotees. Ordinary devotees, they cannot understand. I have seen one professional reader, he was reading Caitanya-caritāmṛta, but he did not believe it because he cannot understand it. He plainly said, these are only imaginary descriptions. There's no fact in it. I have seen it. So how one can understand this is fact unless one has understood what is spirit? Just like in your country, big professors, they do not believe in the spirit. They simply think of this body. So how they can understand about Radha and Krishna and their pastimes? All spiritual affairs. First of all, we must understand what is spirit and what is Krishna and what is Radharani. Then we try to understand what is Krishna and Radharani's loving affairs. So again, we welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on this most exalted transcendental literature, the Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Today we'll be reading from chapter 4, text number 142. All synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for the Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text 142, Adilila chapter 4. Man madhurya radhara prema donhe odakari, kshane kshane bade donhe keha nahi hari. Mat madhurya, my sweetness. Radhara. 1 minute. Radhara of Srimati Radharani, Prema, the love, Donhe, both together, Hoda Kari, challenging, Kshane Kshane, every second, Bade, increase, Donhe, both, Keha Nahi, no one, Hari, defeated. Translation. There is constant competition between my sweetness and the mirror of Radha's love. They both go on increasing, but neither knows defeat. Text 143. Amara madhurya nitya nava navahai, svasva premanu rupa bhakti asvadai. Amara of me, madhurya, the sweetness, nitya, always, nava nava, newer and newer, aya is, svasva prema anurupa, according to one's own love, bhakti, the devotee, asvadaya, taste. My sweetness is always newer and newer. Devotees taste it according to their own respective love. Text 144. Darpana yedeki yadi apana madhuri, asvadite ailoba asvadite nari, darpana adye, beginning in a mirror. Deki, seeing. Yadi, hif. Apana, own. Madhuri, sweetness. Asvadite, to taste. Aya, there is. Lobha, desire. Asvadite, to taste. Nari, I am not able. Translation. If I see my sweetness in the mirror, I am tempted to taste it, but nevertheless I cannot. Text 145. Vichar karya yadi asvada upai, radhika swarupoete tabe manadhai, vichara, consideration, karye, I do, yadi, if, asvada, to taste, upaya, way, radhika swarupa, the nature of Srimati Radharani, oete, to become, tabe, then, mana, mind, dhaya, chases. Translation. If I deliberate on the way to taste it, I find that I anchor for the position of Radhika. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna's attractiveness is wonderful and unlimited. No one can know the end of it. Srimati Radharani alone can relish such extensiveness from her position in the Ashraya category. The mirror of Srimati Radharani's transcendental love is perfectly clear, yet it appears clearer and clearest in the transcendental method of understanding Krishna. In the mirror of Radharani's heart, the transcendental features of Krishna appears increasingly new and fresh. In other words, the attraction of Krishna increases in proportion to the understanding of Srimati Radharani. Each tries to supersede the other. Neither wants to be defeated in increasing the intensity of love. Desiring to understand Radharani's attitude of increasing love, Lord Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 146. Aparikalita purva kaschamatkara spurati mamagaryane shamadurya puraha ayamahamapi hanta prikshayam lubda chetaha sarabasamupabhuktum kamaye radikeva. Aparikalita, not experience. Purvaha, previously. Ka, who? Chamatkari, causing wonder. Spurati, manifest. Mama, my. Gariyan, more great. Eshaha, this. Madhurya puraha, abundance of sweetness. Ayam, this. Aham, I. Api, even. Hanta, alas. Prikshya, seeing. Yam, which. Lubdachetaha, my mind being bewildered. Sarabasam, impetuously. Upabhoktum, to enjoy. Kamaye, desire. Radhika iva, like Srimati Radharani. Translation. Who manifests an abundance of sweetness greater than mine, which has never been experienced before, and which causes wonder to all. Alas, I myself, my mind bewildered upon seeing this beauty, impetuously desired to enjoy it like Srimati Radharani. Purport. This text is from the Lalita Madhava 834 of Srila Rupa Goswami. It was spoken by Lord Krishna when he saw the beauty of his own reflection in a jeweled fountain in Dwarka. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaum Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhakti Vedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadhyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimadurhupa Padam Bhoja Dhulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Preshta Sadkaromishvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas by Sanatan Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, there is a section called Nam Mahatmya, or the glorification of the chanting of the names of Lord Hari, of the chanting of Hare Krishna. And one of these transcendental glorifications, there are many verses, there's a few hundred verses in that section. It's fascinating to see how these great acharyas went at great length to establish the position of chanting the name of Krishna. What is the benefit of chanting the name of Krishna? In other words, why are we chanting? What effect is it having? And what is the benefit? Because naturally people will ask, you Hare Krishnas are chanting Hare Krishna, you're dancing in the street, so what are you hoping to achieve with this? So naturally the question is asked, and that is why the great acharyas, like Sanatan Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and all the great acharyas have described in their literatures and quoted from many Vedic literatures, Puranas, Upanishads, so many places, why we are chanting. One important point is related that in the material world, every living entity, especially human beings, carries on with karmas from the past for millions of years. For a long, long time, we've been wandering in this material world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in one of his songs, Miche Mayara Bashe Oiche Bashe Kabe Hobudububai, that the living entity in the material world has been repeatedly wandering in so many different forms of life. It's just like a prisoner in the previous sea, the king used to dunk them into water, lift them up, dunk them into water, lift them up. So similarly, we are obtaining different bodies in different forms of life. And there are so many sinful activities that accompany the living entity, especially the human beings. The result of millions of births of bewildering, nonsensical activities. So in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there is a verse that is cited from the Vishnu Purana, that a living being cannot commit enough sins that cannot be cleared even by chanting one name of Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu. Namno hi yavati shakti papa nirharane harehe tavat shaktum naksapnoti patakam patakinaraha. That a person cannot commit enough sins that cannot be cleared. In other words, millions of lifetimes of accumulated sinful activities can be cleared very easily by one name of Krishna. That is the power of the name of Krishna. Prabhupada has commented in some of his books, even if people use the name of Krishna while joking, still there will be effect. Very important point. As we all experienced, when we used to go chant in the streets, sometimes people would make fun of the devotees. They would ridicule the devotees. They would laugh at the devotees. But also, simply because they're chanting the name of Krishna, even if they're just chanting in a joking way, in a non-serious way, they still get the transcendental benefit of the holy name. Now, this is very important. Very important. Because not everybody takes to the process of Krishna consciousness with the same degree of seriousness. Some are very serious, some are somewhat serious, some are not serious at all, and some are just not interested, even though they come in contact with it. Just like the government will offer educational facilities, educational institutions, so everybody can apply and go there, receive an education, and benefit from it. But some people don't care for it. Some people are very eager for it. Many people don't care for it. So devotional service is available to everyone by the mercy of these great acharyas. We see in the songs of the Vaishnava acharyas, there is a description. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite par, tomara shakatiyache. The description of the great acharya, the great pure devotees, that Krishna is your possession. You have Krishna. You have the power to give Krishna. Therefore, simply beg for your mercy. Now, how does the power to deliver Krishna happen? By the agency of the spiritual potency of Krishna. The pure devotee, who has no personal desires for sense gratification, nadhanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very perfectly described what is the position of pure bhakti and a shuddha bhakta, or pure devotee. Simply one who does not care for any of the allurements in the material world. Everybody is hankering for wealth, nadhanam, najanam for followers, nasundarim for women, or to become a very famous poet or learned person. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't want any of this. If you don't want any of this, what do you want? Mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti raytukitvayi. That simply birth after birth, I want to engage in unalloyed, causeless devotional service. Now, this is what the pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada, is delivering. The opportunity to engage in the process of pure devotional service. And according to the intensity and the purity of that service, just like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, yeyatamam prapadyante tam stateva bhajamyaham. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Now, this is very important because there's definitely a bona fide process to obtain the mercy of Krishna, to obtain the favor of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And according to the surrender of the devotee, the practitioner, one will get a corresponding result. In the Brahma Samhita, chapter 5, at the end, after Lord Brahma had offered all these prayers to Lord Krishna, there's a few verses where Lord Brahma describes the potency of the process of bhakti. And he repeats the same point that Krishna makes in the Bhagavad Gita, that according to the surrender of the devotee, Krishna is revealed according to that surrender. Now we see, Prabhupada one time was asked, a devotee basically had told the devotee, Srila Prabhupada, that he was very, very sick. This occurred in Calcutta in the early 1970s. And he told Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I heard that in the Shastras like Hari Bhakti Vilas and other books, that it says that even if you're very sick, simply by chanting the name of Krishna, you can be cured. Prabhupada said, yes, that is there. And then Prabhupada said, but in your case, I think it is better that you just take the medicine and then you can chant. In other words, there are many transcendental benefits. The name of Krishna can cure all mental diseases, can cure all physical diseases, can do so many things. But one has to focus on the purpose of the chanting. The purpose of the chanting is to develop that unalloyed attachment for Krishna. Now, this is a very important point. We know from Prabhupada's writings that he has described many, many times that there are mystic yogis who worship Krishna to get some mystic power. They practice the yoga system, Hatha Yoga, Astanga Yoga, to develop some mystic powers for sense gratification. There's one interesting story Prabhupada spoke about in New York on August 1st, 1966. This is a class on the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 13 and 14 in New York on August 1st, 1966. Prabhupada says, actually the yoga system is so perfect that they got 8 kinds of perfection before achieving the real perfection. And what is that perfection? The 8 kinds of Anima, Lagima, Siddhi, Prapti, Ishita, Vasita, like that. Anima Siddhi means when a yogi is not exactly perfect, when he's on the way of perfection, he gets this opportunity. He can become the smallest. If you pack a yogi in a room and lock him, he'll come out. He'll come out. In Benares, India, there was a Trilinga Swami yogi. He was sitting on the street naked. So government took objection. Oh, you are sitting. It is obscene. You cannot. Oh, I'll sit. Then he was put into the custody. So he came out, he was locked. That is not a very old story. Say about 100 years before that Trilinga Swami. So thrice, 4 times, he was put into the custody and he came out. So this is the first siddhi, first perfection. Similarly, a yogi also, if he wants, perhaps I cited this story. In my childhood, I had my teacher and he had his spiritual master, a great yogi. So my teacher used to narrate the story of his spiritual master, that one day he went to the spiritual master and the spiritual master asked him, well, what do you want to eat? And they replied that I want fresh pomegranates from Afghanistan. All right, sit. So in the room, they saw a branch of pomegranate just with juices, just like somebody has snatched the branch from the tree, and it was there. Yogis, they can perform such wonderful things. If I want this thing, I have to endeavor for it. But a yogi can at once make it. These are some of the preliminary perfections of yogi. So Krishna is called Yogeshwar. You'll find in the Bhagavad Gita, he is described as Yogeshvara. He is the master of all yogic principle. So for him, why there shall be desire for enjoyment? He is so perfect that he hasn't got to marry. He hasn't got to keep a girlfriend. He's so perfect, so this is the nature of Krishna. We have to understand. Then why he married? He married just to fulfill the desire of his devotees. Those devotees who wanted Krishna as their husband, so he accepted them. And when he played the part of a husband, he played very perfectly. Just like when he played the part of a friend, of the boyfriend, He played it very perfectly. When he played the part of a small boy of Mother Yashoda, he played it perfectly. So this is an example from Srila Prabhupada that even though one may achieve many wonderful perfections in this material world by the practice of yoga, still the real perfection is to attain this unalloyed love for Krishna. That will fulfill everything. Any desire one may have, any aspirations one may have, everything will be fulfilled. The Shikshastakam of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very revealing, because all these instructions of Lord Chaitanya, there's so much wealth of understanding, so many different transcendental conclusions are given there. We see in the second verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis, that I've invested all these transcendental names of Krishna, unlimited names. They're full of transcendental potencies. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining that although you have given these merciful names, Nanuraga, I have no attraction for them. Of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was busy. He always had the topmost attraction for Krishna. He was the perfect devotee. But he's giving the examples of how we should feel in our pursuit of the perfection of bhakti. Everything is given there. There's a book by Rupa Goswami named Padyavali. Prabhupada quotes many times in his Caitanya-caritāmṛta purports from this exalted book. It's a compilation of different citations from great devotees during the time of Lord Chaitanya and before, describing the amazing potency of the name of Krishna. It is very, very sweet, very, very nice. Prabhupada has quoted many times from this book. So it is up to us to understand the process, to practice the process, and in this way make progress back to home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribol, glories to Prabhupada. Thank you very much for that wonderful explanation about the glories of the chanting of Hare Krishna, because it is very difficult to, when you read these sections of the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, to understand the relationship between Radha and Krishna being at such a high level of spiritual revelation. And this takes time. One has to practice the process. Maybe for many lifetimes. It depends on the person. And it just so happens that I'm reading an Ancha Leela right now. The last few days, I moved forward into the glories of Haridas Thakur, who is the Namacharya, the one who taught by example how to chant Hare Krishna. And I thought we'd move there, and there's some very illuminating verses here on the potency of the holy names that I thought we could read out to all of us, just to refresh our memories. So text 55 in the Ancha Leela, chapter 3. Text 55, Ancha Leela, chapter 3. Namacharya Haridas Thakur, the authority on the chanting of the holy name, said, the chanting of the Lord's holy name to indicate something other than the Lord is an instance of namabhasa. Thank you. Even when the holy name is chanted in this way, its transcendental power is not destroyed. We'll just move forward directly with the verses. Even a mlecha who's being killed by the tusk of a boar, who cries in distress again and again, Har Ram, attains liberation. What to then speak of those who chant the holy name with veneration and faith? Text 57, Ajamil was a great sinner during his life, but at the time of death, he accidentally called for his younger son, whose name was Narayan, and with attendance of Lord Vishnu came to relieve him from the bonds of Yamaraj, the superintendent of death. Text 58, the word Rama consists of two syllables, Ra and Ma. They are unseparated and are decorated with the loving word Ha, meaning O. 59, text 59, the letters of the holy name have so much spiritual potency that they act even when uttered improperly. Even when uttered improperly. Text 60, if a devotee once utters, thank you, the holy name of the Lord, or if it penetrates his mind or enters his ear, when this, which is the channel of oral reception, that holy name will certainly deliver him from material bondage, whether vibrated properly or improperly with correct or incorrect grammar, and properly joined or vibrated in separate parts. O Brahman, the potency of the holy name is therefore certainly great. However, if one uses the vibration of the holy name for the benefit of the material body, for material wealth and followers, or under the influence of greed or atheism, in other words, if one utters the name with offenses, such chanting will not produce the desired result very soon. Therefore, one should diligently avoid offenses in chanting the holy name. Text 61, Namacharya Haridas Thakur continued, if one offenselessly utters the holy name, even imperfectly, one can be freed from all the results of sinful life. Text 62, O reservoir of all good qualities, just worship Sri Krishna, the purifier of all purifiers, the most exalted of the personalities worshipped by choice poetry. Worship him with a faithful, unflinching mind, without duplicity, and in a highly elevated manner. Thus worship the Lord, whose name is like the sun, or just as a slight appearance of the sun dissipates the darkness of night, so a slight appearance of the holy name of Krishna can drive away all the darkness of ignorance that arises in the heart due to greatly sinful activities performed in previous lives. Even a faint light, text 63, from the holy name can eradicate all the reactions of sinful life. 64. While dying, Ajamil chanted the holy name of the Lord, intending to call his son Narayan. Nevertheless, he attained the spiritual world. What then to speak of those who chant the holy name with faith and reverence? Because of even the faintest rays of the effulgence of the Lord's holy name, one can attain liberation. It's amazing here. We can see this in the revealed scriptures. The evidence appears in the story of Ajamil in the Srimad Bhagavatam. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this from Haridas Thakur, the happiness within his heart increased, but as a matter of course, he still inquired further. On the earth, there are many living entities the Lord sent, some moving and some not moving. What will happen to the trees, plants, insects, and other living entities? How will they be delivered from material bondage? And Haridas Thakur replied, my dear Lord, the deliverance of all moving and non-moving living entities takes place only by your mercy. You have already granted this mercy and delivered them. You have loudly chanted the Hare Krishna mantra, and everyone moving or non-moving has benefited by hearing it. My Lord, the moving entities who have heard your loud Sankirtan have already been delivered from bondage due to the material world, and after the non-moving living entities like the trees hear it, there is an echo. I'm going to move forward to excuse me, apologized. Vinkat Bhatta, go to text 100. I'm going to finish up here. I would recommend that you read for certainly this section on the glories of the holy name. Haridas Thakur constructed a cottage in a solitary forest. There he planted a tulsi plant, and in front of the tulsi he would chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times daily. He chanted throughout the entire day and night. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The village of Benapola is situated in the district of Yashohara, which is now in Bangladesh. Benapola is near Banagano station, which is at the border of Bangladesh and may be reached by the Eastern Railway from Shelda Station in Calcutta. Haridas Thakur, being the acharya of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is called Namacharya Haridas Thakur. From his personal example, we can understand the chanting of Hare Krishna and become highly elevated in Krishna consciousness is very simple. Without difficulty, one can sit down anywhere, especially on the bank of the Ganges and Jamuna, or any sacred river. Devise a sitting place or cottage, or plant a tulsi, and therefore before the tulsi, chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra undisturbed. Haridas Thakur used to chant the holy name on his beads 300,000 times daily throughout the entire day and night. He would chant the 16 names of the Hare Krishna mantra. One should not, however, imitate Haridas Thakur, for no one else can chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra 300 times a day, 300,000 times a day. Such chanting is for the Mukta Purusha, or liberated soul. We can follow his example, however, by chanting. Here's the key. By chanting 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on beads every day and offering respect to the tulsi plant. This is not at all difficult for anyone, and the process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with a vow before the tulsi plant has such great spiritual potency that simply by doing this, one can become spiritually strong. Therefore, we request the members of the Hare Krishna movement to follow Haridas Thakur's example rigidly. Chanting 16 rounds does not take much time, nor is offering respects to the tulsi plant difficult. The process has immense spiritual potency, and one should not miss this opportunity. Yashodanandana, please.
Very important discussion. That's why Prabhupada recommended every time anybody was initiated for devotees to promise to chant 16 rounds, follow the principles, engage in the process of devotional service, engage in the preaching mission of the Krishna consciousness movement. I mean, we are known as the Hare Krishna movement because everything is based upon chanting Hare Krishna and distributing the chanting. It's not simply that we chant for ourselves, but we chant and distribute to others. Prabhupada used to often quote his Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, who used to say that we are not very fond of this bhajananandi, people who just chant to benefit themselves, to perform their own bhajan. We are Goshtyanandi. Goshtyanandi means to chant and to preach to others, to benefit others. If one chants purely, then he will develop the potency to preach to others, to disseminate the knowledge of Krishna consciousness to others. Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to often say in one of his songs, Nadia Ghodrume Nityananda Mahajan, he says, Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shiksha, Aparade Shunyahai Loha Krishna Na. To chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, follow Krishna, avoid offenses, and take shelter of the name of Krishna. This is the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the mission of all our great acharyas and the mission of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Maybe you could share some points here to today's discussion.
No. Hare Krishna, thank you very much for a wonderful class today. We can always hear about the glories of Haridas Thakur and the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And also, I just remember years ago when I was first starting to associate with devotees, I was attracted and very interested in all these yogic perfections. I was thinking, this is phenomenal. I should take more interest in the spiritual life, because you don't learn about these in school. It's not talked about in the newspaper anywhere. But it's something that I could understand was reality. And it helped me to become interested in Krishna consciousness. Anima, Laghima, all these different yogic perfections. And maybe I can mention something happened on Monday. The Jagavina wanted to invite some people over, even though we're not involved with Ram Mandir temple opening. She said, let's just invite some people over anyway. And I said, but it's a Monday night. We always do this on Friday night and Saturday night. But she said, let's just try to invite a few people over. And we had about 20 people about to come. And then about 10 people were not going to come. So we thought, well, we need to have more people coming. We're prepared our prasadam for around 20 guests, devotees. And we want to have a beautiful kirtan. And so Jayavina said, let's just go to our neighborhood, 5,000 people on Facebook, and just mention we have a lot of food, some vegetarian free food we're giving out to people to come to our home for a cultural, spiritual celebration. And about 10 more people came. People that live near the lake, White Rock Lake, close by where Prabhupada used to walk on the western shores years ago, in the 1970s. And we had a really wonderful celebration. It was because Jai Govinda got this inspiration from the Supreme Lord in the heart, Super Soul, to go to Facebook and just make an announcement. And all these extra people came who normally would not be learning about Krishna consciousness. Our neighbor across the street, a new neighbor. And it turned out we had a beautiful kirtan and discussion about we're not this body and who is Lord Ram and things like that. So the point is, sometimes as devotees like myself, I don't have very much intelligence or knowledge. But sometimes if we pray the Lord to give us guidance, inspiration, what to do, he'll give us some guidance. That's all. Hare Krishna. Oh, I have one more question if I could ask it.
Please.
I was reading some kind of a description, one of the history books, and they were talking about is Prabhupada, when he says something, is that Shastra? And somebody was saying it's not Shastra. So I had kind of a understanding of that, but I want somebody else to possibly comment on it if they could, please.
I can quickly, because I just heard a lecture by Prabhupada on in my car, and he was saying whatever the Acharya, like he was referring to Lord Chaitanya, of course, he said whatever Lord Chaitanya says is Shastra, is scripture. So in the same way, when you see Prabhupada as non-different than Krishna, because the guru is for the disciple, a bona fide spiritual master is the form representation of Krishna. He's not an ordinary person. And whenever he speaks, if you study his words, irrespective of some so-called mundane perspective on pronunciation or grammar, if you listen very carefully, and I know that you've listened and I've listened to thousands of lectures, they're absolutely revealing everything about the nature of being entangled in this material world and how to get out of it by the grace of our spiritual master, who is the empowered representative of Krishna. So his words are perfect. They are perfect, no question. And the other thing is that Prabhupada makes this comment, and Yashoda could elaborate on it. He would have people read his books to him, and he would say he enjoys hearing the books because he's not speaking. Krishna is speaking through him. Mm-hmm. This is called the via transparent media. If you don't understand this, you can't realize Guru Tattva. See, this minimization of Prabhupada, his position, this was done by a lot of neophyte people that joined the mission in the early years, and they had a familiarity point of view in terms of Guru. And they spread it. Like when I saw that video the other night, this Keith Ham, last night actually, completely pathetic. Yashoda, please.
This is a very interesting point. First of all, what is Shastra? Shastra are the words of the personality of Godhead directly. And also the Shastra are different commentaries by different saintly persons, different sadhus, different acharyas. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one of his books relates that Shastra is the compilation of the words of the pure devotees. I'm paraphrasing here. The original Shastra, Shruti, the Vedas, come from the breathing of Lord Narayana in the beginning of the creation. This is described in the Brihad Aranakya Upanishad in the Madhyandina Shruti. And then there's also the various other Shastras. This is called Apaurushaya, not spoken by any human being. And there's what's called Paurushaya Shastra, or words or Shastras, which are revealed with great sages, great saints, great acharyas, great prophets. These are called Paurushaya Shastra, which are manifested through the agency of human beings, perfected human beings, or liberated human beings. But all these Shastras are mentioned in the Chandogya Upanishad, including Itihasas, Puranas, everything. This is all the body of Shastra. And the commentaries and explanations of this great Acharya, that is also considered Shastra. So there's a foolish differentiation that is going on by persons with a poor fund of knowledge claiming that what Prabhupada said is not Shastra. And they use this as an argument to say, well, we have to see or verify what Prabhupada says, whether it's according to Shastra. But it is not the business of a disciple to start to verify the statement of his spiritual master, whether his spiritual master is speaking according to Shastra. If one thinks like that, means he has not understood anything about Shastra or the position of the pure devotee. There are many statements in the Bhagavatam. Krishna said, Sadhavu hridayam mayam sadhunam hridayam tvaham, that I'm in the heart of the sadhus and sadhus are in my heart. They're non-different than me. Those who are pure devotees are in direct communication with Krishna. And I've quoted this before in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta in the Anti-Lila chapter 5. Prabhupada explains that what we are hearing, what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is directly communicated by Krishna. So if one feels that he needs to check the statement of his spiritual master with Shastra, it means he has not understood anything about Shastra or Vaishnavism or disciplic succession or the proper process of knowledge. Prabhupada explains, this is many times in Prabhupada teaching in his books, that when the Acharya, the pure devotee, speaks, it's to be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead speaks through him directly. That is different than the neophyte. Neophyte, whether it's a Madhyam neophyte or a Kanishta neophyte, that's an entirely different level of realization and understanding. So one should not be confused if somebody thinks that what Prabhupada said is not Shastra. This is a foolish idea. It's a bewildered influence of Maya. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and I wanted to further mention to Dharma Bhavana, there's an expression that came out recently in 2002 from a fellow from New Vrindavan named Devamrita. And this we've gone over this in the past. It's a so-called, intellectual explanation of Prabhupada's flaws in presenting the philosophy, that it was more dated. It's a dated explanation of the philosophy, and therefore he was explaining to all of us, as you know, we should move forward with post-Prabhupada books. PPB, post-Prabhupada books. And then other people that are in the so-called guru hoax that they set up started to jump on board and say, yeah, we should, look at revising these books and writing our own books. Like we have a devotee who used to be in my Sankirtan party. He's now in Hungary. He wrote some books on the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, like he's some kind of advanced gopi. It's, I don't know why he would think that, but that's his business. He can do whatever he wants. But we should realize that Prabhupada is our conduit for spiritual life. Nilesh Dalal, in Miami. I see you're on the call. Are you in your car or are you
Hare Krishna. Yes.
sitting down
Hare
somewhere?
Krishna. Sitting down.
Haribol,
Sitting
Prabhu.
down.
Good to see you.
Haribol.
You've
Hare
got
Krishna.
comments, and maybe you want to make some comments. And if you have a question for your Shoda, please go
Yes.
ahead.
I
Thank
have
you.
both. I have a question also, and I have a comment too.
I wonder
So,
how I know.
Hare Krishna. So, answering to the question about Shastra and what you call Srila Prabhupada, I remember Ainda Das Prabhu had given a nice analogy that what is Parampara system? Parampara system is like a telescope. If we were to open up a telescope, what do we see inside a telescope? Or let us first start off with what is the function of a telescope? The function of a telescope is to bring any distant object close to us. Okay? Any distant object close to us. How does it function? If you were to open up a telescope, it has not one but series of multiple lenses. There are multiple lenses within a telescope. And what is the criteria of each lens? Each lens has to be transparent. If they are not transparent, even one lens, no matter where in that telescope you put that lens, and if it is foggy, what is going to happen to your image? It's going to be foggy. That is why paramparas are of bona fide spiritual masters who are transparent. They are the transparent medium. So whatever Krishna talks about it, they migrate it to us. The final visual which we see is we see Krishna very close to us. So this is the part. If somebody is not transparent, and no matter what they try to say, if they are not bona fide, they're not going to be transparent. They're going to be tainted by some kind of profit, some kind of labha, some kind of kutinati, things like that. Diplomacy, something or the other is creepers are going to be there, which will fog the image, and you will not have a clear image of the final destination. So that's number one. Number two, we were talking about the great importance of the holy name. And I guess I got the answer a little bit from what Vishwakarma Prabhu read, is that my question again would come is, why did Prabhupada say, avoid listening this Maha Mantra from the lips of a non-devotee? If I'm making fun of devotees and I'm just chanting even Krishna casually, and if it benefits me, why would Prabhupada say that? What is the crux of that part? Because yes, I can even make fun of the Prabhus over here and just chant Krishna in a mockery way, but still I would not. But there was one shloka which you read, one translation which you read, Prabhuji, which said that if you chant it with offenses, you will not reach the destination very soon.
Yes.
You will not reach the destination very soon, which kind of makes me understand that yes, you will get some benefit, but not total benefit. And my last part, which will be a question, is we know that Prabhupada in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita told us that in this day and age of Kali Yuga, because you see there are so many splinter groups of the same Prabhupada ISKCON movement. We have Prabhupada Disciple Association, we have ISKCON, then we have somebody else doing some other things, and everybody thinks they're doing the right thing. But all these splinter groups, imagine if we were to merge it together. And I am thinking is that if this potency of the Maha Mantra is so strong, and Prabhupada says in the end of the introduction of Bhagavad Gita that if there is one job, one God to praise, let it be Krishna. If there is one job to do, is let it be devotional service to Krishna, or read the Bhagavad Gita. One book to read, let it be the Bhagavad Gita. And if there is one Maha Mantra to chant, let it be the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Now, in the same Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tad Viddhi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya. We need to, or not that way, sorry, Evam Parampara Prapta. So there are 4 Sampradayas. I know that the Rudra Sampradaya says the Maha Mantra is Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. The Shri Sampradaya says Om Namo Bhagavate, Om Namo Narayanaya. That is what they say. And then we, the Gaudiya Sampradaya says Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why is not there one Mahamantra for all the Sampradaya? Hare Krishna.
Yashoda, please, if you could respond.
It's a lot of questions. Can you maybe summarize the first point again?
The first point we were talking about was the Sampradayas and the analogy which is given as that of a telescope.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I was trying to talk about. But there was not much question. But the second question is, the first part of the question is, why is this still Prabhupada say, avoid listening of this Mahamantra from the lips of a non-devotee as much as milk touched by a serpent? He gives this analogy very clearly.
Yes, this
And
is
if
mentioned.
I'm making fun of the devotees, and even then I profit, then it does not kind of make sense.
It is given in the Hare Bhakti Vilas by Sanatana Goswami, that example, sarpochistam yatapaya, that if one has milk, and if that milk has been touched by the lips of a serpent, that will create problem. It become poisonous. So similarly, if one hears the message of Harikatha, Avaishnava Mukudgirnam Putam Harikathamritam, the message of Lord Hari, the chanting of Hare Krishna, the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, this is all Amrita, nectar. But Avaishnava Mukudgirnam, if one hears from an Avaishnava, a non-Vaishnava, or one who behaves against the Vaishnava principles, then it will have a very different effect. Although the argument is made sometime, well, at least the people are chanting Hare Krishna, they're trying to follow the process, they're doing this, they're doing that. Well, that is nice. That is good. That's a good process. Just like one time in Hawaii, the argument was brought up to Srila Prabhupada that there are followers of one person that was there, a very famous devotee actually, who had his own disciples before he met Srila Prabhupada. And even when this person joined the movement, many people were following him. He was a very nice preacher, doing some good service, distributing Prabhupada's books. And the point was up that many of his followers, they don't seem to be very serious. They would go surfing, they would keep long hair, they would chant, they would be vegetarians, but they were not following the process as seriously as the recommended sadhana given by Prabhupada. So they asked Prabhupada, can they go back to Godhead? Prabhupada said, if you chant with offenses, you don't stop chanting, but it may take millions of years. In other words, unless one follows the actual process given by the Acharya, by the authorized Acharya, then the result will take a much longer time. And this leads me to the point you've made about these different mantras from different sampradayas. Those who are Vaishnavas will accept the statement of the Shastra, just like I've given that quote many times. The Hare Krishna mantra, the history of the mantra is given in a book called the Kali Santarana Upanishad. This is quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. And each one of these Vaishnava sampradayas have different mantras that they give, the gurus, to their disciple. In our sampradaya, we have the different mantras that are given. Besides the Hare Krishna mantra, the Ramanuja and Madhva Sampradaya, they have the Om Namo Narayana mantra. The Vallabha Sampradaya have a different mantra. And the Gaudiya Sampradaya, we have the different mantras which are given at the time of second initiation, like the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mantra, meditation. There's another mantra for Lord Krishna. There's the Kama Gayatri. Those are explained by Srila Prabhupada in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta. Now, all of these sampradayas do accept the Mahamantra because it's mentioned in the Vedas. The Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's unique contribution is that he emphasized the Samkirtan and the chanting of the Mahamantra. We are the only sampradaya that emphasizes the practice and the public chanting of the Mahamantra. That is the greatest contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, any other questions which you feel you wanted to be answered?
Hare Krishna. No, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving to the end of the class. I did want to mention that there are lots of people that chant Krishna's name. They're appearing on stage nowadays as celebrity chanters. Now, we have to be very careful to discriminate between the Sahajya, Sahajya chanting of Hare Krishna and the absolute contamination of that by other people in terms of their Krishna consciousness. Excuse me for 1 second. I can't seem to get this off. I'll just have to. So this goes on in the name of so-called religious piety. Just like in the ISKCON group. There are lots of people that are chanting these days. Now, you have to be able to discriminate what you're going to do, how you're going to spend your time associating with them or others. Because their association may not help you at all. In fact, we've experienced, not only in terms of chanting, but in terms of philosophy, that their utterance of philosophy, their explanations, their mental speculations, their activities will contaminate you. That goes on. You listen to them, you'll become confused. That's our experience. So be careful who you associate with. Be very careful. So we're going to move forward now to the chanting of Hare Krishna by Srila Prabhupada. Don't forget to go to our YouTube channel. We have over 200 classes there, so you can, go there and listen to them if you're interested, or go straight to Prabhupada's channels and listen to his lectures and enjoy the practice of bhakti yoga by constantly hearing and chanting from the pure devotee. Thank you, Dasa Avatar. Good to see you on the screen. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vinkat Bhatta, let's have the chanting. Everyone chant along. Hare Krishna.
Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating. Vijay Pandit Prabhu, come va, come va?
Bene, bene, grazie. Bene.
Molto bene.
Finally, I came back for the Caitanya-caritāmṛta class. It's 2:00 in the night when now it's 3:30. 3:30 morning. Time to chant the Maha Mantra.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Sometimes
excellent.
I can.
Very good. Very good dedication to hearing the message from Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Prabhu.